Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we have, we're going to be reviewing some tracks off an album by Destroy the Planet titled Episode 1, Hungry for the Science. And if we switch over to here, we have the album on Spotify. We're going to be listening through the first 6 tracks from Twisted through to the worst. We're going to hear them from start to finish. We're going to hear what we think. Looks pretty cool with that album art, that robot destroying the earth. Let's go, man. Let's go.
Impending doom threatens our foreseeable future. Brace
All right.
for immediate disintegration.
Cool.
The attack is imminent.
I love that. I'm hearing those distorted guitars. I know we're in for a good time, but even before then, it's like that Foley work. It cuts to the chase, gets you ready for it kind of hypes you up a little bit. Cool, man. Oh boy, I love it when I get to review this kind of stuff. Before I go any further, I just want to talk about the production value of this. It sounds sensational, doesn't it? All the guitars, drums, bass, and everything. The leads and the rhythms on the sides. It's all balanced really well in the mix. I'm loving those really slick pinch harmonics in that lead squealy line. And those power chords on the rhythm's great. And yeah, it's a good time, isn't it? It's a good time.
This world I take, it's not the way, it's not the way. I've got nothing on a piece of my hand, my ways been shifted. And this pain I bring upon myself, it doesn't indicate that I'm a twisted.
Good. It's kind of reminding me a little bit of that Black Label Society kind of vibe with this. Got great groove with the drums. I'm loving the harmonies with the vocals, with the I think with like a higher and a low end. Makes it sound bigger in the mix, more present. It's great. I'm happy with it so far. Back to that melodic theme that we had at the start. Smart songwriting, dudes.
Disease and hate spread like a plague. It's not the way. It's not the way.
It's not the way.
I've got nothing on a piece of my hand. My ways been shifted. There's this pain I bring up on myself. It doesn't indicate that I'm a twisted.
Because of this brain that I bring upon myself, it doesn't mean that I'm twisted or something along those lines. Oh, harmonized guitar solo. Fun. Okay, sick. I'll talk about the solo once it's finished. I just want to enjoy it in its full entirety, you know? In full entirety. Before we go back to this hook, that was such a slick transition back into that into the chorus, wasn't it? I'm loving those taps, but more important, I'm loving how we had these almost these half note bends and everything to before the shred, you know, just to gradually get us into that state where we're like, yo, man, some 16th note sweeps or whatever else, the hammer-ons, pull-offs, and all that kind of stuff. That's what we're looking for in our life. And yeah, it's a really well-written song. It's a shame that it hasn't got as many plays as the other ones, although if that's any indication, maybe these ones are just as good, if obviously if not Paul Pop. But we will find out anyways. What have we got next, though? Back to that that main motif.
I'm twisted. I'm twisted. I'm twisted. I'm twisted. I'm twisted.
with the drums coming in strong. They've been pocketing this entire time. Oh boy. Nice choice of using a repeater on the end of that last vocal line there to fill in the space after that. What I can take from that song, I think it was about maybe him being a masochist and like doing things that he doesn't necessarily understand, that he's putting the pain on himself because he's twisted. And that stuff about like, what was it? What were they saying at the beginning of the track they had?
People of Earth.
Yeah, people of Earth.
Doom threatens our foreseeable future. Brace for immediate disintegration.
Exactly, like we're talking about our own world being destroyed by ourselves because we're twisted, I suppose. That's the kind of connection I see there, or that I think that there might be. You know, we have Destroy the Planet with such a banger of an intro track, and I just love how well it showcases what they're all about, their abilities as musicians. Like, that was studio performance there. Everyone was playing the instruments, you know. They were really playing. Great chemistry between the members. And it sounds like a band that should be touring and finding a whole bunch of success, and I hope they do. Just off that first impression is so important. And we smashed that with Twisted. We got Control next, though. What's this one going to be about? We love our pinchies, don't we? And shout out to the bass player, both in terms of their, you know, following the drum groove on the cymbals, but also their presence in the mix. I don't know if they're using like fingers or if they're using a pick. But like either way, man, they're nailing it, you know. Everyone's in sync.
Not that long ago, you had your hands on my throat, a child 6 years away, but I was not alone. Got some plans to make, there's no time to waste. Just a few precious moments that they contemplate. Image getting blurry, can't see what's going my way. Yeah, as soon as it gets dirty, then one of us is crawling away. And I can't look down. I can't look down.
Ella that shriek there at the end of that passage there. Similar style to what we had previously. This one's feeling a little bit more ominous for some reason. It's a little bit more slow. You know, I'm eager to hear where it goes next.
I want some time with the morning sight. Cross all the lines and decide in the sight. I want some time, need my demise. I choose to survive while I'm waking at night. Cause I see your skin, sell your soul. It's just some things that you can't control.
Oh. So we're not talking about what we can control. We're talking about being able to be the master of everything, so to speak. There are limitations to our accessibility and our ability to manipulate, you know? You know, we have this interesting theme here, led by the guitar, of course, in place of the vocals. The rhythm guitars are so supportive of that lead line, and so is the bass and the drums. Again, we had the ability for each of these musicians to showcase their abilities, especially like at the end of Twisted. But we're all business at this part of the track.
Just the other night, while I was buried alive, our love could be defined as self-sacrifice. I should come in respect, sit around my neck. I could forgive and forget, it's just too soon, I guess. Can't see it coming, timing is finally coming my way.
I'm not getting everything. I don't think I'm getting all the words coming through clearly. There's a lot to pay attention to, of course, so my mind is kind of going, oh, lead guitar note, oh, drum fill, oh, 16th triplet kicks, you know. We've discussed like hands on the throat and everything like that. And it, you know, when you think of someone with the hand on the throat, that they're in a fairly controlling position, aren't they? So this song could be like about a power struggle or something like that.
For several reasons now, one of us is running away. And I can't look down. I can't look
can't look down. Oh, damn. We'll go back a little bit just so we can hear that drum fill in its entirety, because it's a sexy drum fill. But I'm hearing the sell my soul part, and it's, you can't sell your soul, or you can sell your soul, but there are some things you can't control. I think it's someone who is doing whatever they can to be at the top of something, or to be, you know, the best that they can be or whatever, and that there's still stuff that's just out of reach. I think that's what this track is about. Solo section. I said I'd go back to listen to it as well from the fill, sorry. Also, just before we go any further, I really appreciate that lead line that's going over top of the chorus. It sounds sensational. I love how they're balancing those lead melodies on the guitars with the vocals in the center field. Really good, efficient studio production, but also it never feels like there's too much. And I think that's a really delicate balancing act that Destroy the Planet are absolutely smashing. Here we go. Perfect. Perfect timing. It's gorgeous, man. Before we go any further, that was an exceptional solo. I'm trying to pay core attention to all the different elements, but when we literally have a part dedicated to that additional angle to the song. Part of what makes this solo so effective is because you instantly start with that. It's such a different texture to what I'm used to. A lot of people go straight into the shred, or they go straight into that mid lead line, and it's not so much they're trying to tell a story with it. They're just trying to either play the guitar for the sake of playing the guitar, or they're trying to reinforce that original thing they started at the start of the song. And Destroy the Planet isn't doing that here. The guitarist has got these separate sections for like pentatonic blues, sort of noodling, and then tappy parts, and then like 16 kind of palm muted kind of ascensions through the scales and stuff like that. And each part makes sense and transfers eloquently into the next. And I think that is just testament to the security, like how confident Destroy the Planet are that they can have the vocalist smash their performances, you know? Like, I love the singing so far, but also are allowing the other instrumentalists to do their thing as well. It's just such a cool album so far. Such a cool album. Extra bar there. Catchy as hell, dude. Oh, sorry. Sell your skin to save your soul. I apologize. Not sell your soul. Sell your skin to save your soul. I had a dyslexic moment. Oh, beautiful. I love that little bit of the extrapolation in that last chorus. You know, you can't hide from the devil. He'll find you wherever you go. No matter what you do, there are some things you can't control. I think I have a better understanding of the track now. This is one of my favorite songs that I've reviewed in a long time. I'm gonna give that a heart. That's a dope track, dude. That was Control. I'm sure that everybody can hear the quality of this performance simply through virtue of listening to this review of it. At this point, I'd recommend anybody listening to this to go listen through the album in its entirety. I think it's genuinely worth your time. I'm saying that before the conclusion because I'm secure enough at this point to know that the rest of this time is going to be great. You know, I Think I Should Know is track number 3. It's a little more gentle, this one, isn't it? With these clean guitars and the quieter leads and the drums. Dude. I just wanted to hear that through and just enjoy it. It's a nice contrast to what we've had so far. A little more low-key than the rest. But I think having that tonal diversity within an album is important, especially if it's chronological. Like, you've got episode 1, Hungry for the Science. I assume that's probably where they're going from here in future. I really appreciate this. So is this song about the expectations of someone, of you as a person, and they want you know, you're like, yo, I just want you to know what, you know, you want me to be, because I don't know what the expectations of this are. I don't know what your goals and ambitions are in that regard. I guess that's why it's a bit more somber, you know, like, 'cause it can be often really sad when you realize that you're not someone that is desired in your current state.
Won't you bleed me, break me, cage me, so viciously crazy?
I want to talk about the way that the singer sings for a moment. He's got these interesting inflections and wow. Kind of reminds me of a little bit of the way, Axl Rose sings. Not everyone's super... Maybe super pleased to hear that comparison. He's got that wow, that kind of way of verbalizing. I like it. It does stand out. It means that occasionally I have to listen really close to get it, because I'm not used to listening to that. Kind of, you know, sometimes. But I think that, you know, the singer from Destroyed Planet is balancing that well. I think the words are still coming through clearly in the mix for the most part. Again, we've got some really classy drum fills to go into the chorus again. We've got these harmonized vocals that we've had, you know, the high-low thing that we've had with the Control and Twisted. Double tracking vocals is just like a really great way to get your singing, your lines to stand out a bit better in the mix. It's used to effect here. Great choice. Another lead line over the solo on the left. Cool. Another lead line over the chorus on the left, I should say. Much as you think, but enough about me and this thing that you want me to be. Another solo section. Cool. Using the wah pedal this time. Okay, we're doing a two-parter, a split section solo. Dope. Was that a 30-second note tom fill? It might have been. Worked well in the middle there. You want to slow it down a little bit going back into a section like this, where we're going back into that 1 and 2 and 3. No, it would be like, dun, 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 dun. No, that would be 30 seconds, I think. Yeah. It wouldn't have had the same, if you'd had that fast forward right at the end, it would have been too much. It wouldn't have fit with the slower groove that you had in this chorus, this verse section. Nice work. Smart move. Great move there. This makes me want to join a band. You know, I love the way that these guys groove. They're an exceptional act. That'd be great to hear live. I hope these that Destroy the Planet are able to do gigs. I hope they are able to do that, because I'm sure that'd be excellent to listen to. Destroy the Planet. I don't really. I mean, I think there's these little bits of extra care that you can hear like that. You know, what you want me to be, that extension of that line at the end of that chorus there, just to go into that last little solo outro. There's never any filler. It's just it's a banger from top to end, and again we have the range and the emotional tonalities of it, the inferences there. That track, yeah, I think, you know, just the lack of communication I think is being spoken about there, and it's clever music, dude. It's clever music. I think that it's engaging the whole entire time. So it's at the halfway point of this review now. 3 more tracks to go, but I'm happy with it so far. Reach, number 4. Now this has the capacity to be kind of a... That had the capacity to sound kind of cheesy, depending on how they did the chord progression there and how they ended it. But they flew right in with that drum fill into the verse section. It was just a fun way of getting you hyped up for After I Think I Should Know. Great contrast. See, he did it again. He slows down. Bum, 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 bum. Because again, you've got to have some way of shifting between, you know, like a track like this, which has 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 1 and 2. Yeah, so going to the halftime for that next section there, you need to slow it down for that. Great. It's just an excellent time. Like, no kidding. Like, you have 3 distinct sections. You know, the verse, the bridge, and the chorus. The bridge is short and sweet to allow for more sort of real estate for that chorus. You have this instrumental motif that was present at the beginning to lead you back into the next verse. And that fun little lead line here as well, kind of tide us over. Now that was fun. We had a faster sort of 16th or 32nd note drum fill there, but we still had a slower groove there. Yep, excellent. Excellent. I'm loving it. Just out of the reach of my fingers. Grasping for it, man. Desperate for it. That kind of confusion and fear that can come from not, again, being in control of the situation. Oh, solo? I love these 16th triplets, they're cool. Again, I think we're repeating this melodic phrasing as well rhythmically each time. Oh, and there's a little bit of a difference in the tail, but it's fine. Tom Phil Orange, cool. Cool. A smiling face with something to hide. Damn, man. Yeah, because sometimes people will smile and you can't really take the mask off, can you? You can't really figure out what's going on inside. It's kind of sad. I can understand why the solo was a little more poignant. I liked the intensity of the groove in the verse sections, but I also think they're going halftime for that hook made sense because of the subject matter. Yep, I'm glad that these guys are getting attention for music like this. That's fantastic. We got Maggots though, number 5. Oh, this is a little bit more ominous. Oh? Ah, a little bit darker than the previous one. Just before getting further as well, I have to hand it to the people playing the rhythm guitar parts. I love that we're using those power chords. They're such neutral chords, and they allow you to do whatever you want on top of them with your melodies, whether it's guitar melodies or vocal melodies or both. It's just smart arrangement, smart music, smart composition. Don't look so disappointed in my misery. Damn, man. That sucks. It sounds very alarming, doesn't it? Yeah, no, that's very tense and sort of, it sounds incredibly unhappy, and I don't know if we're getting a happy ending with this one. It kind of loops into itself like Ouroboros. The Ouroboros of sadness and depression. Okay, we got a tappy taps. I'm hearing like the bottom of the wreck, having to dive down deep and trying to find something or other, and it doesn't sound like we found what we were looking for, or we found something we never wanted to see. We'll take you down? Oh shit, that was intense, wasn't it? Coming into this next solo section. You can almost at this point predict there's probably going to be a solo section with each of these tracks. So if you love your lead guitar, this is an album for you, right? That was a nice short and sweet guitar solo. I think for a 3.5-minute track like this, you kind of don't need to be too elaborate or too time. You know, you don't focus too much time on your lead guitar solo on a track this short. You know, you need to leave time for the story. Five marks on your neck or something like that. We're taking you down. Damn, dude, it's so brutal. It's a savage track. It's, you know, with Reach and I Think I Should Know. Yeah, we've got this emotional tonal diversity within this track. They're very versatile as a band. Oh, banging on your chest. I get it. So we're talking about someone who's like kind of flexing and sort of fronting, but in person it's different. And the solo section to finish for that main hook line. Cool. Great. No complaints about that. Sensational. And we're just moving on forward, dude. Just moving on forward. Moving on forward. Moving on forward. Yeah, that was Maggots. That was Maggots. What else do I want to say about this track? I think that, you know, Destroy Planet have this ability to be able to make each song sound directly sort of, they make it sound like it matches the subject matter. The guy sings in a way that matches it as well. Whenever I have the opportunity to listen to bands like this, I know I'm in safe hands. And for me to call a band that I've never really sort of listened to a safe hand after the amount of reviews I've done is a compliment to them. Like, truly. Maggots, I haven't heard a weak track yet. You know what I mean? Splendid. We got the worst. Track number 6 for today. I like that. It's very somber, isn't it? Is this going to be more of a ballad? I know ballads usually sound with pianos. Before we go into the next section, it does sound more introspective, this track here. We've got these quieter sort of DI'd or recorded acoustic guitars, steel strings, with the drums and the bass, and the vocals just sort of like going over where they're at in their situation, whether it's a relationship or otherwise. Sitting down trying to figure it out, trying to find the required components. I'm not quite sure how we get to the worst. Maybe it feels like the worst having to go through that situation. I'm not sure. The harmony overall is very kind of sad sounding, but it offers some hope. We'll just have to see if that chorus crushes it or not.
What's the worst that can happen? We come back to life. Just a taste pain, and ultimately I suffer.
Ooh, I know that chord progression. We're using that. I know that. That's like very similar to the 16564, isn't it? Boom. Boom. Yeah. Yeah? Yeah, it's definitely the 1, 5, 6, 4. Just going up from the octave up on the 1. It's fine. They're doing it well here. It doesn't sound cheesy. Much more somber lead line cool.
From their captive device, we need to figure it out.
I have to compliment the singer on his vocal range. He sounds just as great in his higher range as he does in his deep lows. It's fantastic to have that type of width or to that range as a vocalist, or that length as a vocalist, because you can adjust the coloration to suit the other elements of the mix. And I think here, when you've got these really bright steel string guitars, going a bit lower in there, as long as it's not interfering with the bass, which I think is lower than his range by virtue anyways, it is smart. You know, and then when you've got a lot of stuff happening in the low mids, you can go higher, like for those choruses and stuff like that. It's really smart stuff. Really easy to stage the octaves for different parts too. It's cool.
What's the worst that can happen? We come back to life. Just to taste pain. And ultimately I suffer. The worst that can happen. We're finally awake. Without mistakes. Or absolutely nothing. What's the worst that can happen?
Where are we going with this? Got a tom build. The chug, 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 bam. Good. I was expecting there to be a solo there, but I think in a 5-minute track like this, you can get away with an extended interlude, right? Beautiful. Beautiful. I heard that. I heard that lovely transition. Much slower, more graceful guitar solo here. A little bit of development before this part. Rolling on that 1, 5, 6, 4, but it doesn't sound cheesy. It sounds totally natural, dude. Those unison bends sound spicy, dude. And I'm liking the drums as well. Like, sorry to interrupt the solo, but like, dan, da, da, dan, da, da, da. It's nice that it was just going ding, 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 ding. We even got little bits of flourish on that ride cymbal, dude. Smart move, dude. Cool. Nice quiet part. Good. Great finish. Great final track for this review. What's the worst that can happen, right? Turning my camera on. I'm so satisfied with this. It's kind of a shame. I would have liked to have reviewed the other 5 tracks here, but at the same time, I'm reviewing 6 today. I think if the first half of this album, because this is the conclusion, if the first half of this album is any indication of the quality of its entirety, these next 5, especially Time, which has a staggering nearly 146,000 plays, I completely vibe with that. I think that every single one of these tracks deserve at least 5 figures, if not 6. I'm glad they're getting attention. I think that Destroy the Planet, first off, all of these tracks sounded absolutely smashing. I adore, the different stories in each. What's the worst that can happen? I didn't really talk about what that one was about necessarily, but I think the chorus line with that more positive major tonality to it is saying, what's the worst can happen if we just continue to try and improve and try and make things better, I think that's great. I think that's a great message there. I like the contrast between the verse and chorus and that. And throughout this album, between Twisted, Control, I Think I Should Know, Reach, and Maggots, and The Worst, you have these emotional and sort of like themes that could have been done one-dimensionally, but Destroy the Planet explore and further develop them and make them into forms that sound great, whether they're 3.5 or 5 minutes. The stories are intriguing. I spoke about what the track is about. Each track was about through it. The album itself, I'm not quite sure. I need to listen to the other half of it, but I'll probably do that in my own time. I'm more than happy to give these guys the time of day, considering how well they've impressed me so far. I think that, for Destroy the Planet 2021, released in 2021, I mean, it's contemporary, like hard rock. It's thoroughly melodic. It's thoroughly professional. The structures of each of these tracks were thoroughly interesting, as well as the stories. You had the traditional verse, chorus structures with some bridges in there, some interludes. Each of these tracks had a solo section, and none of it felt overdone or unnecessary. I like the fact that in The Worst we had an interlude or a bit of extra thematic development before the solo. So yeah, the structuring of each of the tracks is great, and the stories are fantastic and compelling, and I think it's stuff a lot of people can relate to as well. The album art, I thought this was going to be like power metal, and we were going to be going through like aliens and stuff like that, but it was a little bit more sort of human than I kind of appreciate that. I think for like a first album that makes sense. The singing, the guy on the mic was thoroughly incredible. Thoroughly incredible. Yeah, I stand by that. Thoroughly incredible. The guy had fantastic vocal technique. He had a way of singing that, again, I think I pointed out further. It's sort of unique. I haven't heard a lot of people sort of inflect like that, phrase things the way he does, add those little kind of twangs to it. But I think it works in his favor here and makes him stand out. There wasn't a single note out of place in that regard. He sings fantastically on his own, like in What's the Worst That Can Happen, like in the verse parts, but also the harmonized vocals, the high and low parts were great too. Fantastic vocal range, various bits of ornamentation, it never felt like too much or unnecessary. And yeah, he carried the story well and emoted appropriately, had that emotional range throughout the performance. I think it was a very authentic vocal performance. The instrumental parts with the guitar, bass, and the drums were just top-notch. Like, we don't just have a singer, a front person that does incredibly well. Each musician in this band is practically ready for the big time. And, the drummer kept the groove in some parts and absolutely smashed through some fills in others. Played well over a wide variety of tempos and different sort of themes and sequences. The bassist was supportive for the vast majority of the time, stood out well in the mix. Kept to the groove really well. Had bits of experimentation sometimes, which sounded appropriate for the situation, and was the ground bed for the entirety of these tracks, alongside the drums. And the guitar parts, the rhythm parts were fantastic and supportive and colorful in the clean guitar sections, and absolutely, that was strong and huge sounding in the rhythm sections when it was more distorted, and it was great. And we had, of course, the lead guitar solos, which are absolutely stunning. And again, if you enjoyed them, go listen to those again. The guys, every musician in here is where they need to be in order to find success within the music industry and within their own band. And the recording, mixing, and mastering of this track, the production of it was just is where it needs to be of a professional state. Yep. Just got a call there in the middle of a review. It's great. Thank you. Very professional. Everything was stereo EQ'd and panned really, really well. I think that the power of this is that it sounds like they were recording the album together. It sounds like they went to a nice studio or they recorded themselves and they just knew what they needed to get the best sound and tone out of each of the different individual instruments. And the placement of everything in the mix was fantastic. That took me a little bit aside that the hi-hat was in the center of the mix. Usually you pan the hi-hat a little bit to the left or something like that, but I think they just wanted to have that there and it suited fine. It wasn't, because of the way everything was EQ'd and stacked in the frequency spectrum, I don't think there were any issues there with kind of any resonances in the high, lows, or mids. The compression limiting was great. The vocals as well, just to top it off, the vocal production was exceptional. Sometimes people can be tempted to try and pitch correct the vocals to try and make it sound, you know, more perfect. I think the guy sang eloquently and appropriately on his own. He didn't need any extra help. He's a great singer, great vocalist. And yeah, it's basically 4 marks from me for Destroy the Planet, episode 1, Hungry for the Science. I wish them the best of luck in future, but I doubt they need it. They're already getting a lot of attention, and I'm sure that's going to continue. So thank you for... I'm glad I had the opportunity to review it. But that's effectively my review of Destroy the Planet, episode 1, Hungry for the Science. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show this band some love via the various social medias and Spotify. Stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to also support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the hell more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.